for this day's conversation. We welcome you. We appreciate you for taking your time to join in. We've convened this occasion as part of the commemoration of the Transgender Day of Visibility, and of course, this conversation is largely targeted around the lived realities of our trans women in Africa. We have amazing panelists from South Africa, amazing panelists from Tanzania, from Uganda, and from Kenya. The aspiration of this conversation is for us to just understand how the trans movement in Africa have been contributing to the queer organizing, and also just sharing partly the lived realities. And of course, this conversation is brought to you courtesy of Talanta Africa with support from our partner, Forum CIV of Eastern and Southern Africa. So this is largely a conversation that affirms the existence and the lived realities of our trans women in Africa. I welcome you and also welcome our lovely panelists to this occasion. Mine is just to take it over to our moderator for today, the one and only, the fabulous lady from the lakeside region of Kisumu, Enos. Over to you, Enos.
Okay. Thank you so much for calling order and for elaborate introduction for this particular dialogue conversation. We are very, very much happy. We are grateful, and we are looking forward to interact in this particular forum, and also to share, our vast experiences, and also to our members, panel, now panel by participants who are joining from the live, from the YouTube live and the Facebook page. Feel free to share out anything. Feel free to ask any questions. We are here for you. You are there for us. Nothing for us without you. Nothing for us without us. It's a collective. Everything we do together and all that. Thank you so much, my dear panelists. You are amazing. I don't know where to start from. I'm so humbled to see you joining in on time. I'm so much happy. Thank you so much. You can clap for yourself. Let me just see you clapping for yourself where you're. It's amazing. Thank you so much. I think without taking much time, we are going to introduce ourselves. Let us know who are we, where do we work, what kind of work do we do in our various country, various organizations and all that. So um, I'm Enos. I'm she. I work with Trans Alliance Kenya organization based in Kenya, and our main focus is to build socio-economic, socio-cultural, network organizing around intersex persons, transgender, and also gender non-conforming. And in doing this, we opt to change this, deconstruct these social norms, this sexism, ageism, these kind of attitudes that are they are very negative in our, in our workplaces, in our residential places, in our, in achieving the whole enabling environment for us to work in our enabling environment for us to achieve the particular goals and our objectives as well. So I think we'll just move very fast. I'll pass the mantle to Gita from South Africa. You tell us who you are, what you do, in your country, the organization you work with. I think I'm very clear. Yeah, you go on and introduce yourself. Oh, it's like you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Thank you so much. So my name is Gita November, and I'm from South Africa, but in a very small part. I'm from the northern parts of South Africa, called the Northern Cape. I'm a proud transgender woman, living my truth, and defending my truth and others' truth. So I'm the founding member and executive director of Transtech South Africa. It's an organization that provides technical assistance to any LGBTIQ plus organizations within the Western Cape and South Africa, but specifically within the Western in the Cape Town area. Um, to ensure that so we give technical support to programs such as psychosocial support, education, gender affirming healthcare. So we are there just to make sure that we connect each one to the service provider, because it's always a gap between um, the service provider and the service user. So that is me. So currently, I'm also doing some research work with the Human Science Research Council in South Africa. I've also worked with them on a HIV prevalence study amongst transgender women in South Africa. It's one of our first kind that we did, and we did it in 2018. Um, so yeah, a little bit more of me later on, but yeah, that's it. And I'm honored to be on this platform today.
Okay, thank you so much for that elaborate introduction. You're very audible. I'm so happy that in my panel, I'm having you as a founder of an organization. I think we'll share more and to understand how do you approach issues of the founder syndrome, leadership issues and all that,
Yeah,
because we have been having disconnect between, the younger generation and the older generation and all that. And this is giving us a very giving us problems in our organizing and all that. So I think we shall share much as we continue. Yes, I think we'll move to
indeed.
Otita from Uganda. Yes, Otita from Uganda. Kindly tell us who you are.
Hey,
Yes, proceed.
hey, Jay Broderick Otita. I'm a Ugandan trans man and also a founding director at Team and Evolution Uganda. That is a trans men specific organization. It's just on baby steps. We started this year. So, yeah, I'm blessed to be in this space.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you. We are honored to have you around. Yes,
Okay.
Clara.
Hi everyone, good morning. Good morning everyone. My name is Clara. I'm working from Tanzania Community Permittee Foundation. I'm the among of the executive director, and I'm working for East Africa Sex Workers Alliance. I'm the among of the co-regional coordinator. So TASEF is working to serve the trans community, gender non-conform and queer community, include a trans community, a sex workers community. So thank you so much for being part of this conversation. I'm so happy and I'm so blessing to participate on this meeting. Thank you so much. Much appreciated for all participants in this meeting.
Okay, thank you so much. This is a very interesting forum. I'm getting interested more and more as we see our people introducing ourselves. I'm seeing the issue of trans sex work, is coming in boldly, and I'm very happy. I'm honored to know more. How do we navigate, a trans a trans identity and also the transactional aspect coming in together. Thank you so much, Clara. Yes, Ruby from Kenya. Darling, take over, please.
Hey, how are you guys?
Fine, proceed.
Clara November. How are you guys?
You're pretty fine.
Hey, I'm so happy and honored to be among the panelists. I great to meet brilliant minds, beautiful souls, and courageous women and men who are bold enough to step forward and bring light to trans visibility. First and foremost, happy Trans Visibility Day, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, my name is Arubi, a transgender woman living in Kenya. My preferred pronouns are she and hers, one of the co-founders of Pwani Transgender Initiatives. Okay, the work that I do around my community is we shed light on advocacy matters and bring services that cannot be reached by my community. We offer health services and we champion for the right of women of all diversity. Yes, we champion for the right of women of all diversity. We champion for the right of female and transgender sex workers. And we spearhead the movement of human rights at its best. So thank you so much, Enos, for graciously and humblingly honoring me with this invite. It's a pleasure to meet you guys, and hopefully let's start the wheel rolling.
Oh, that's so amazing. Thank you so much, my people. I really love you so much. That was a nice introduction, and I'm very happy to be with and to share with founders, co-founders of organization. It means you have vast experience on how to navigate how the founding issues, organizing from the era of the era of the analog era, to the new era of digital, the new technology and all that. I'm very, very happy. And I think it would be very good if we just start away our conversation. Yes, today is an international transgender visibility day. We are very honored. I don't know how this came about, just to clash with our amazing day. This is a very important day for the trans people, because you see, um, yeah, it's celebrated annually 31st of March, dedicated to trans people, and raising awareness of the kind of stigma and discrimination the trans people face, the vast struggles of, the dysphoria aspect coming in and all that. So it's a very special day, and for my trans people, trans men and trans women who are watching this particular conversation, I really love you so much. You have it. Don't be in a doubt. Uh, if for one or two reason you are struggling with with your primary setups, and you really feel to have the secondary features coming in and all that, darling, you'll have it, because you have made it, and you've accepted who you are, and you are happy with your identity as well. I'm very happy for you. And maybe if I could also throw the same to you, maybe what advice would you give to our trans community, trans organization, and also to our government setup on this particular day of, or Trans Visibility Day? Maybe if I could start with Gita, what's the advice you would give to our dear ones who are watching this particular conversation?
Well, for
Irrespective,
me, yeah. Well, for me personally, I'm sorry, I was just a little bit lost there when you say this our day today, and I'm like, one day dedicated to us. So for me, the conversation is going to be quite lengthy today, and I know that we're going to try to put in as much lived realities and try to reflect on our lives. Today, I want everyone just to take the time and thank yourself personally to have made it this far already, and I'm already starting with my reflection process, just thinking of my other siblings in other Africa continents that does not enjoy the same rights which I do in South African under our South African Constitution. So, what was your question? Did you ask me if I have any advice to government? Sorry, can you just ask? Can you just repeat the question again? What was your question? Did you ask me to give advice to the government?
Yeah, I was very comprehensive in that. What is your general advice for yeah, any short you'd give for this particular day of Trans International Visibility Day?
Well. For me personally, I think this is a day where governments needs, and specifically, and I'm going to speak in the context of South Africa. I think today is the day where government is actually supposed to show that they really are there for the people and that we are protected under our basic human rights. And today is the day where they can showcase that they show their support in a fellow human. So that's my advice. Come out and show your support to your people, the same people who has put you in power, but the same people who's also fighting for their lives and fearing their lives on a daily because of your laws and transphobicness.
Okay, thank you so much, Otita. What would you any comment for this particular day? Yes,
Hey,
Otita.
my apologies. I'm having a bit of technical issues here. I'm really struggling to even get you guys. I don't know. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yes, proceed. We can hear you very clear.
Okay. So I didn't even really get what you were saying. You're kind of breaking.
Okay. Today being a celebration day for Transgender Visibility Day, we are just trying to advise our particular people who are watching from YouTube, who are following from Facebook, on on what really means this particular day. So, what would be your advice? You know, what would you tell the guys who are watching from this particular conversation?
Ah, okay. First of all, as a transgender person, uh, I think it's really a very important day in our calendar, you know, as transgender persons. And yeah, I feel like this is a day that we really have to celebrate our wins as transgender persons and also reflect on the failures that the community has undergone. So I feel like as trans people, we really need to uh, like strengthen each other in every way. Like trans advocacy shouldn't just be like based on maybe a country or something, because as trans people we face the same challenges because we are the face of the LGBT community, you know. And I think we are the ones that actually carry the cross. We're the ones who are really violated more than even anybody. So I feel like, yeah, because Uganda is really, I come from Uganda, and Uganda is a very conservative country. And yeah, our lives here are just, I don't know, we're like running for our lives any other time. Like anyone can do anything to you at any time. So I don't know. I feel like today is really a very special day, and from my heart, I just want to say that every trans person out there, you are loved, and we always think about you, and it's okay not to really be visible for so many reasons, because visibility is a very beautiful thing, but also sometimes visibility puts us at risk uh, because of all these laws that have been enacted and are depriving us of even just of freedom of expression as human beings. So yeah, I feel like today is an awesome day for us. I think we should celebrate. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Clara. Yes, Clara.
Yes, sister, sorry, can you put again the question?
Okay. 31st March is annually is a day to celebrate. You know, it's dedicated to trans people and for visibility purposes. So you know the kind of the challenges, the problems, you know, the struggles we end up going, and there comes visibility as very important aspect in transgender environment, in transgender organizing and all that. So for this particular day, what would you tell our people watching this particular conversation about, you know, the meaning of, you know, International Transgender Visibility Day?
Okay, thank you so much for your good question. I'm speaking on the trans community, especially trans women sex workers. Kama tunavyojua, I'm just mixing on Swahili and English. I think everyone is understanding because there's some of the country. Yes.
English.
Thank you. So nipenda kuongelea sana especially for the trans women sex workers kwenye masuala safety and security, lakini pia kwenye masuala ya in general life ya trans community ambao ni sex workers. Kama tunavyojua, almost country nyingi za upande wa East Africa bado hazijakuwa recognized, especially kwenye masuala ya trans community, especially trans women and trans men. Bado tuweza kuwa recognize au government iweze kutambua na iweze kutupatia the priority, labda ziweze kusikiliza kwenye masuala mbalimbali, kwenye masuala ya human rights issues, kwenye masuala ya violence ambayo tunakutana nayo especially kila siku kwenye maisha yetu kila siku. Lakini pia vile vile hata kama as a trans community wakiamua kupeleka kesi ziweze kuwa taken na ziweze kusikilizwa kwenye government au kwenye vituo vya polisi kwa upande wa government. So challenge tulizokuwa nazo especially trans sex workers ni kutokana na kwanza muonekano, lakini namba mbili the society ambayo inatuzunguka around tunaoishi nao karibu ni kwamba bado hawajatuelewa, na sometimes the trans community ya ambayo inatuzunguka kwenye upande wa trans community bado hajakuwa na uelewa mkubwa sana kwenye masuala ya sexual orientation, gender identity, kwa sababu tayari tumeshakuwa na ile knowledge ama tumeshakuwa na ule mwangaza kusema kwamba mama akijifungua ni lazima ajifungue either ni mwanamke ama either ni mwanamume, bila kujua kuna masuala mengine ya sexual orientation, gender identity. So hiyo imekuwa ni changamoto sana kubwa kwetu, kwa sababu pia imepelekea hata government kutupatia priority, kwa sababu tayari watu wameshakuwa na ile perception ya kujua kwamba kuna mwanamke na kuna mwanamume. Kwa hapo katikati hakuna jina non confirm, hakuna queer, kwa wote tunashindwa kutambulika kwa sababu ya masuala sexual orientation. Lakini pia hata kwenye masuala safety and security imekuwa ni changamoto kwetu kwa sababu ya sexual orientation yetu jinsi ilivyo, kwamba sometimes the community say that ni tunajitakia, labda unaweza kuwa mwanamume, labda unaweza kuwa mwanamume, unaweza kuwa mwanamke. Kwa ni kitu ambacho bado kimekuwa abuse especially for the trans community, kwa sababu hatuna mtu ambaye anaweza kutuongelea, hakuna mtu ambaye ukipeleka malalamiko yako wanaweza kuyataking na wakaweza kuyafanyia kazi. So hii ni changamoto kubwa sana especially kwa trans sex workers, kwa sababu ukiangalia the among of the trans wengi kwenye 100% mpaka 70% wengi ni sex working wanafanya kwa ajili ya kuweza kujipatia kipato, kwa sababu ukiangalia watu wanaokuta trans community ameweza kusoma lakini amekosa nafasi ya kwenda kusoma, kwa anaona bora niende kufanya biashara, ambao kwanza I'm happy kwa kufanya hiyo kwenye kazi hiyo, lakini pia yupo comfortable. Lakini sasa ukija kwenye masuala ya human rights issues, anaweza kufanywa abuse na client, anaweza kapigwa, lakini hataenda kupeleka wapi kesi yake kwamba iweze kufanywa kazi. Ikipelekwa kesi mahakamani polisi, question nakuja, umejitakia, nani alokuruhusu wewe sex workers? Na sexual orientation yako inaweza kuwa ni changamoto pia vile vile, kesi yako isije kusikilizwa. So hiyo imekuwa ni changamoto na imekuwa ni shida sana kwa upande wa trans community ambao ni sex workers. Kwa hii ni kitu ambayo inatuumiza sana za trans community, kwamba hatuna space za kuweza kuongea, hatuna space ambayo kupeleka matatizo yetu, lakini pia hatuna space ya kuonesha kwamba hii ndio changamoto ambayo tunakuwa tunapitiana nayo. So kwa leo ambao tumeweza kukutana na kuweza kudiscuss, naona hii pia imekuwa ni fursa ya kuongea as a trans community, vitu gani ambavyo vinaweza kutukuta mara kwa mara ambavyo vinatusababishia pia kupata masuala mental health, kwa sababu pia kama ukiwa umebeba vitu vingi kwenye kichwa kwa wakati mmoja inaweza kutuharibu pia kiakili. So naona hii ndio changamoto yetu kubwa sana. Asante sana kwa kunipatia nafasi ya kuweza kuongea.
That's so powerful. That's touching, and thank you so much for sharing that, Clara. Thank you so much. Yes, Ruby, what would you tell our people in respect to International Transgender Visibility Day? Yes. Can someone confirm? Am I audible? Can you hear me from the other side?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are.
Okay. Ruby, hello?
Yes, I can hear you, Ines.
Yes, today being an International Transgender Visibility Day, what would you advise our people?
First and foremost, I'm glad that God has let me be among the people of my community that has risen up and seen this day in action. 10 to 15 years back, this day wouldn't have existed due to bias laws, bias cultural norms, and bias traditional norms. I'm glad we are here to celebrate this day. And my message, my thoughts for today is we have fought for our way. We have fought for places that were deprived to us by the sheer fact that we identify as transgender. So, what am I saying is that we have won the battle. We have commanded authority, we have commanded respect, and we have commanded places that we can sit down and be decision makers and assert affirmative action towards spearheading visibility of the trans community. It saddens me kuwa we fought wars with other transgender persons who have not seen this day, but I'm glad their efforts were not in vain, because here is Ruby, here is Ines, here is November, celebrating and being vibrant on this day. That's all from me.
Can you hear me from your side?
Now, yes, but we've lost you.
Yes, we can.
Okay. I'm worried because my video is stuck. It's not moving. So I don't know why. Music. Music. Hello?
Hi.
Yes.
Okay, let me just proceed. All right, all right. Thank you so much. I'm very honored and I'm very happy you're sharing your vast experiences in relation to this particular day of Transgender Visibility Day. Uh, I'm charged of, it's how, when you're visible in the community, people tend to ask a lot of, questions coming in and other kind of harassments. You'll find people are being stripped off because they just want to find out what is it, especially for people who have just said they are hormonal, and they are in the process of transition. Maybe some you were known as you've been grown as a man, and then you come in as a woman. Such kind of uh, of struggles. You'll find you strip up. They just want to find out what is it. Do you have a penis? Do you have a vagina? Are those real breasts, or it's a lot? And this is also marrying with institutional prejudices, because we face a lot of problems with how we appear, and our legal document marks. You'll find, yes, I'm a trans woman. I want to, I want to access, I want the name change, or I'm going for another, at the registration there, and you'll find uh you having now the problem starts questioning from the office. You are denied access because your ID markers, your identification markers, and the previous captured photo is totally different with the current appearance that you're portraying. So it's a lot we really facing it out by now. We have to move on, and that's who we are. Thank you so much. Gita, I'm very happy that you are the founder of your organization. And I know, if for instance right now we are in the new technology, and you see we are really struggling. I would love to hear, how was the journey before, before the era of this technology. How would you did you have the social gatherings as a transgender people? Would you how were you coordinating this kind of, how were you meeting, you know how did you start coming with the idea of, let me have this let me have this particular organization with a mandate to do this and all that. So how was the journey before the era of the new technology, in respect to how the family was taking, transgenderism, the community at large, the government, and also religion coming together. So how was the era before the new technology in respect to the transgender activism and organizing? Yes,
So
Gita.
thank you for that question. So for me, so the journey was amazing, firstly, but it was also terrifying because at the time when I started my activism work, technology wasn't that developed as yet. So at that time, I didn't even have a phone. So we had to communicate via telephone lines and whatever other means there was to communicate. For me, it was all about, so how we gathered during that time was in safe spaces. So we created a safe space environment where we would meet specific times. But remember, during this time, we already were recognized within our country, specifically after 1996. Going into the 2000s, it was amazing because now we're catching up with the time. Um, Technology has been one of my lifesavers throughout the COVID-19 pandemic. Technology has forced us during the COVID-19 pandemic to 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 find other ways of connecting with one another to make sure that we protect ourselves and our mental state during a time where many of us codepend on one another, because just thinking of how a trans woman is trapped in a family um, for lockdown, where the whole globe has gone into this lockdown, and now you're forced into a space with siblings that portrays violent acts against you based on the fact that you are transgender, or you're just different from how they perceive sexuality and gender. So technology has been, and Transact SA is actually an organization that started out of a program of sex workers. So my previous employment, so everyone knows in South Africa. So I'm Gita, so I'm a transgender sex worker. My previous profession was in sex work. And this is where my activism started, but it started with the HIV work that I did in communities in the Northern Cape of South Africa. So it was a sex worker program that was also being supervised by SWET, the Sex Workers Education Advocacy and Task Force in South Africa, that has also been now in existence for over 20 years. And then it came about to the point where we sat down and said, there is intersectional parts where sex worker, LGBTI, and how service is being provided to our population groups within South Africa is specifically under the HIV banner. So all services that is being provided to us, everything that's being given to us, is under the banner of HIV. So we already been stigmatized as the red ribbon carriers. So why not give them money and do that? So we decided that we are going to look at trans specific, because in a country such as South Africa, where we are liberated and we are free to do our things, we are still being micromanaged by our government. And I'm saying micromanaged in the sense that you can't say in a constitution to give us freedom, yet we have to fight 20 years later still to be included. And transgender women and transgender men, but the transgender community are the most vulnerable population in an area where you can get, or in a country. But yet we are the population that is target practice for the police. We are target practice for the community. The communities and the police are the people practicing on us and how to create a war amongst civilians. You understand? So the organization then came about to look at a way of connecting everyone without being in the same space. So and that's why we called the trans tech. We just took the H away. We wanted to disrupt the technical term of tech, how everything is just being, if it must be on a phone, it must be technology. And knowing that we are living in the fourth industrial revolution, it is hard to get by. So we decided to work on an app that will connect people. Once you log on, you will be able to be navigated within a South African context. For instance, like in the Western Cape, you will know where to go for specific services, because what we must understand, as transgender individuals, we have specific needs. We need tailored healthcare services. Our intervention when it comes to medicine must be different. It is not the same as to anyone else, because transgenderism is something that many people, it has been there for, I feel that trans has been there for as long as everyone else has been. Because if I was born like this, it means that many of my ancestors has been born also many years ago, but couldn't just say, because under the barrier of how society has constructed us to live. So we're looking to find ways of making sure that access to the trans community is accessible. But just hearing on how my siblings in the other countries doesn't even have that access, and listening to Detta, who's speaking from Uganda, it's sad and it breaks my heart as a person, knowing that I had to come through struggles also, like, but knowing that any person in your community can attack you at any given time because who you are. That brings a different level of hurt and pain to a person to exist in a world where people just hate you purely because who you are. During my time of transitioning, I had multiple issues, and I'm a type of person that doesn't. I can't keep my mouth. I'm sorry. I am someone. If I see injustice, I speak about it. I don't care if you are the president of my country. I don't care if you are the Queen of England. I don't care if you are who. Each of us is in this. I came into this world on my own through the cavities of my mother, like anyone else did. We are all breathing the same air, but yet, when it came to making laws for humans, a specific group of society have decided that we have to act in accordance. So, with the church and religion, I took on my church to say that I refuse then to come to service if I am not accepted as a sister. I am Sister November. I'm not Brother November, and I do not conform to 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 what you want me to be. So if I can't dress and if I can't express myself in the way I want to be, if you all say that if we serve God, it's a personal commitment that you have towards your God. So how can you then tell me to dress in a specific way that comforts you in church, that it doesn't make you uncomfortable? I'm sorry if it makes you uncomfortable, that you know that I have um parts that is being seen as male. So the church has come around. So I am an active member in church. I love order. I love when it comes to the point where you have been accepted and we do what we need to do. But when you challenge me, I will challenge you back. You need to come with that. And being the founding member of an organization, it's a lot of it's an executive director. It's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure because also when you start out and there's no funding to run your programs, to ensure that your safe spaces is kept in place, that you create platforms where people can just debrief, because we are trying to pick up our lives after the COVID-19 pandemic. But now, just looking at the COVID-19 pandemic and going back to the HIV pandemic, the LGBTIQ plus community is beneath the most and the hardest, and looking at trans individuals, because we did a study in South Africa in 2018, and we found that transgender woman is 49 times at risk to contract HIV. That's already a burden on our community itself. And then it is violence, and then it is just criminalization of who we are in many African countries still. And that is upsetting. I don't know how one can sit and rule a country, or how leaders can sit and go to other nations and they smile and accept money, and then yet they come back and then they torture their people because they don't conform to what they feel it is moral. You understand? So I hope that answered your question. If I left anything out, maybe I can just go back. I love talking. I can speak all day.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really love your boldness and your viewpoint of issues. I'm so happy that you only listen to your voice, the support system. You don't care what people say. What the kings and the queens of Africa, the kings and the queens of of your country, and all that. But it really matters for the truth. And I'm also very happy that you started organizing while you didn't have even a phone. So I'm even wondering how were you navigating. You don't have the phone to connect up with guys, because like for now. The issue, we have the phones, the smartphones, the laptops, but still there's a lot of blackmails and extortions coming around. So maybe that's a question for another time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
But one thing within South Africa, South Africa just recently uh, um, brought in the POPI Act that protects our privacy. So South Africa has a specific law that is written to the protection of privacy, and it's the POPI Act. So that eliminates some elements of privacy. Do you understand? So it brings a little bit of dignity to some of the work that we do in protecting our constituents' identities. Because yet, even though we are free in South Africa, we are not free from our communities because our
All
communities
right.
doesn't agree with
Thank
the
you so
government
much.
rules. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. Odita, can you hear me from your end?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, I'm really struggling. Yes, I'm struggling, but I'm here.
Okay. You're a gentleman and love that. Anyway,
Mhm.
how has been the history of transgender organizing in your country?
Ah, is it from my country? Because from my question, it was actually talking about all of Africa.
Context.
Oh my God. So I have something brief, yes. Of course, I'm not going to say like I'm just going to say the brief bit of the history, like how transgender activism started. Yeah. So, but can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Yes, you're very loud and clear.
Okay. All right. So around December 19th, that was in 2008, in Cape Town, when the International Gay and Lesbian and Gender Dynamics held their first ever successful African strategy workshop for transgender activists held in Cape Town, that is South Africa. The historic workshop brought together 15 activists from 9 East and South African countries. That is Burundi, Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, Botswana, Namibia, South Africa, Zambia, and Zimbabwe. So this was holistically to address the very specific needs of transgender people on the African continent. It marked a key step in the process of defining and building the African transgender movement by African transgender people. Historic gathering of. Can you guys hear me? I got a
Yes,
bit of interruption. So yeah, the African Strategy Workshop was designed to help activists document human rights abuses against transgender people, to derive best practices for human rights advocacy, and share information on gender identity, reassignment surgery, and hormone replacement therapy. That is HRT. The long overdue meeting formed an integral part of trans history on our continent and a cornerstone to the work we do now and all the work we wish to do in the future. Activists at the workshop elected leaders to coordinate the trans movement in East and Southern Africa. They also established a set of priorities for future work, including education, healthcare, access, including holistic healthcare for transgender people, and working to prevent arbitrary arrests and unnecessary bodily searches. Activists pledged to join hands and build a movement to fight all forms of oppression directed towards transgender people in Africa. So yeah, that was just a brief kind of history about activism. Transgender activism in Africa, like, as a whole. Thank you.
okay. Okay, thank you. And for your particular country, how has the organizing for transgender people uh, take place over your country? Hello, Otita. He's lost. I think, let me move to Clara. Clara, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In Tanzanian context, there's a lot of male chauvinism.
Kupati vizuri.
Oh, unipati.
Yes.
In Tanzania, usually, it's with a lot of masculinity. Ndio.
Ni kama kuko na shida, kuna sound inatokea, so inakuwa sikupati vizuri.
Oh. Are you able to get me now?
Yes.
Okay, sawa, asante. Nasema hivi.
Yes.
Country Tanzania is known for different you know, concept of mwanaume lazima anakuwa the head of the family, home, you know.
Acha tutengeneze maiki kwanza, kisikisi unakuja na unakata. Ni kama kuna hata sound inakuwa huko. Si wewe, sasa sijui ni shida ni internet ama ni kitu gani, lakini kuna kelele nasikika.
I don't know what the noise is. Kelele iko inatokea.
Si kwako, ni kelele ya sound. Nahisi kuna sound nyingine inakuwa hapo. Labda uongee kidogo, nani sauti kubwa kidogo.
Unanisikia sasa?
Yes.
Nasema hivi. Vizuri.
Yes, endelea.
Asante. So, as a trans woman in your country, and with all these attitudes in your country, you know, the men how things should be, you know, and you're a trans woman here.
Hebu zima nani mute, alafu tusikie kama ni shida ni kwako ama ni kwa wapi. Hebu mute kwanza, sorry.
Are you okay now?
Yes, endelea.
Asante. So I just wanted you to talk about, as a trans woman, how do you navigate, how is the situation in your country? How do you navigate the context of male chauvinism, this attitude, and the family that are entrenching, you know, heteropatriarchy concept? How do you navigate the two in your country, and also in organizing transgender programs back then?
Thank you so much. Mute, alafu ili tusipate hiyo nani hii sound mbaya. Okay, other organization is working to save the trans community. So tunacho make sure ni kuangalia ni jinsi gani tutaweza kuhakikisha kwenye masuala safety and security, especially for the trans community, gender confirm, queer people, kuhakikisha kwamba watu wanaweza kuwa kwenye masuala ya ulinzi na usalama, lakini pia vile vile kuwakumbusha masuala ya digital security, kuwafundisha masuala ya kuwafundisha ni jinsi gani wataweza kuwa katika platform ama kitu chochote wanachokituma waweze pia kuwa kwenye masuala ya safety and security, kwa sababu pia tumeona asilimia kubwa ya trans community wakiwa kwenye social media wanakuwa na challenges sana kwenye kuweza kukamatwa kwa sababu ya kuweza kujiexpress wao wenyewe, ni kuweza kujitoa kwenye masuala ya mtandao. So jitahidi kuhakikisha kuwakumbusha kwenye masuala ya wakiwa wanatuma either post, wakiwa wanafanya kitu chochote, ku make sure wanaangalia masuala ya penal code ya Tanzania jinsi ilivyo, ili wasiweze kuwa kwenye masuala ya hatari ya kuweza kukamatwa, lakini pia labda wasije wakaambiwa kwamba wanafanya promotion ya homosexuality na vitu vingine. So tunajitahidi kuhakikisha kuwafundisha masuala ya safety and security, lakini pia vile vile tunawafundisha jinsi gani ya kuweza kuwa na masuala safety and security kwenye sehemu ambapo wanapoishi, lakini pia kwenye community, kuona jinsi gani kwamba hawataweza kuwa affected na jamii, kwa sababu pia jamii yetu bado haijakuwa na uelewa mkubwa kwenye masuala ya sexual orientation, gender identity, kwa sababu kama nilivyosema hapo awali kwamba jamii nzima ama East Africa nzima bado tuko na ule uelewa kwamba mama akitaka kujifungua anajifungua kwenye jinsia mbili, either ni ya kike ama ni ya kiume. Lakini pia hatuna perception kwamba naweza nikajifungua albinism, naweza nikajifungua mtoto ambaye ni kilema, naweza nikajifungua mtoto ambaye labda ana jinsia mbili, intersex. So bado jamii ama familia bado hazijakuwa na huo uelewa mkubwa. So tunachokifanya sasa hivi tunakuwa na mikutano ya family members kuweza kukutana na kuwafundisha masuala sexual orientation, gender identity, lakini pia vile vile ni kuangalia jinsi gani tunaweza tukawapa spaces za kuweza kuelewa masuala sexual orientation, gender identity. Hii inaweza kusaidia kwamba watu sasa kwanza kuto kufikiria kwamba naweza kuzaa tu jinsia mbili, either ni ya kiume either ni ya kike, lakini pia tunaweza kuonesha kwamba unaweza kuwa na mtoto ambaye pia ni intersex, lakini pia kunaweza kuwa na mtoto ambaye bado hajakuwa na uelewa ama bado hajaweza kuconfirm gender yake. Ni jinsi gani utaweza kumsaidia ili pia vile vile kumlinda kwenye masuala mengi, masuala safety and security, kumweka katika safety and security nzuri, lakini pia vile vile kumpatia opportunity, kumpatia space za yeye kama as a trans community ama gender non conform ama za queer kuweza kuongea na mzazi wake, kuweza kuspeak na familia yake kwa urahisi, kujua ni jinsi gani vitu gani ambavyo wanavipitia kwa wakati huo. So tumetengeneza hizo dialogue kuhakikisha kwamba kuna channel ya watu kuweza kudiscuss na kuweza kuongea kwenye masuala ya sexual gender identity. Lakini ukiachiana tu na family member, tumekuwa pia na session kuangalia jinsi gani as a LGBT community, kwa sababu pia the among of the LGBT community bado tumekuwa tunajipatia stigma discrimination among of the LGBT community. Kwa kuangalia jinsi gani tutaweza kukaa kwa pamoja as a trans community pamoja na LGBT community kuweza kuwapatia watu space ya kuweza kudiscuss na kuweza kuongea, lakini pia kupunguza ile stigma discrimination, kwa sababu ukiangalia for the LGBT community as a trans community tunapata stigma kwa sababu ya muonekano wetu, the way tunavyodress na mambo mengine. So tunaangalia jinsi gani pia kuweza kuwapatia capacity wenzetu kwamba wasiweze kutufanyia stigma discrimination, kwa sababu kama tunaanza kujifanyia stigma discrimination sisi among of the LGBT community, basi hata community pia vile vile itaweza kutufanyia hiyo stigma. So asante sana.
Thank you so much, Clara. And I'm very interested, how do you then engage the transparent the parents of the trans children?
Okay.
Usually they are any conversation. So how do you engage the parents? How do you program for that?
Okay, so far tuko hata LGBT community au niseme trans community tayari tumeshakuwa na wale mahusiano baadhi ya family au maybe tuseme labda watu wa karibu ambao so far wameweza kutuaccept na wameweza kutukubali. So tunaanza na wale tunawatrain, tukimaliza hapo wale ambao tumeweza kuwapatia training tunaomba wapatiwe invitation ambao watu wengine ambao wataweza kuja ili iwe rahisi. Kwa hiyo tunachokifanya ni kama channel, tunakuinvite wewe ambaye tunaona so far tayari unaweza kutuelewa, lakini tunataka kukupatia more information about sexual orientation, gender identity. Sasa tukimaliza kukupatia information tunaomba upeleke hii channel kwenye other parent, na unaweza sio tu parent wa LGBT community, ambao si among of the LGBT families, tunaomba tufikishie huko. Alafu tutakuomba tupatie invitation waweze kuparticipate. Sasa tuje kuwapatia more knowledge ya kuweza kuparticipate, kuweza kuelewa masuala ya sexual orientation, gender identity, ili waweze kuelewa kwa undani. Lakini ukiachana tu na masuala ya parent, tumekuwa pia na dialogue na religious leaders, kwa sababu pia imekuwa hii ni changamoto especially kwa trans community. Tumekuwa hatuna sometime kupata ile opportunity ya watu kwenda kushiriki katika sehemu za misikiti pamoja na makanisa, kwa sababu ya muonekano wetu, labda the way tunavyo dress, labda tuseme labda unaonekana wewe una umbile la kiume lakini you address as a women. Kwa hiyo pia imekuwa ni changamoto. So tumejitahidi kuhakikisha kwamba tunafanya connection between religious leaders kuweza kupata hiyo fursa ya watu kudiscuss na kuweza kuongea, kwa sababu sometimes trans community au LGBT community tumekuwa kwenye fursa mbalimbali za masuala ya HIV issues, masuala TB issues, lakini ukija kwenye masuala ya kidini, masuala ya issues za binafsi, tumekosa hizo fursa. Lakini ni kama tunaambia kwamba nyinyi ni watu ambao mnakuja tuna masuala ya HIV, nyinyi ni watu ambao mnakuja masuala ya masuala stigma discrimination, lakini hatujakuwa na ile platform ya kuweza kuongea as a women na ni kuongea as a children, maybe tuongee jinsi gani pia as a trans community tunaweza tukawa linkage ya kuweza kuangalia jinsi gani tunaweza tukapata familia ama tunaweza tukawa na watoto. Kwa mfano sasa hivi as a trans community ukisema unaenda kuadapt mtoto is a challenge because of the sexual orientation and gender identity, lakini pia vile vile unaonekana labda kwa sababu as a trans community labda hata mtoto unaweza ukaenda kumbadilisha akawa za trans community. So hiyo pia imekuwa ni changamoto. Kwa tunaangalia ni sehemu gani ambazo fursa mbalimbali ukiachana na masuala ya HIV issues tunaweza kuwa linkage nao. Kama hivyo nimesema tumefanya linkage na vyombo na religious leaders, lakini pia vile vile kama hivi kukutana na mashirika ama kukutana na vyombo mbalimbali ambavyo vinaweza kusaidia za trans community ama LGBT community wanaweza kugo na kwenda kufanya kwenda kumadapti mtoto, ili tuweze kuona kwamba ukiwa trans community haimaanishi unaweza kumgeuza mtu mwingine kuwa trans community, haimaanishi mimi ni LGBT community naweza nikabadilisha mtu mwingine akawa LGBT community. So tunajaribu kuhakikisha kwamba hiyo perception ya community, perception ya watu ambao wanatufikiria kwamba ni kitu ambacho ni kama tabia, kwamba naweza nikamrithisha mtu mwingine, na sio kwamba ni masuala ya kidaktari ama ni masuala ya biology kitu. Kwa hiyo ndio tunajaribu kuhakikisha kwamba watu waweze kutoka katika hiyo mental ya kuona kwamba other trans community ama LGBT community ni tunaweza kumambukiza mtu mwingine, ni kama HIV mtu unaweza kumambukiza mtu mwingine. So hiyo ndio kitu ambacho tunafanya ili kwamba watu waweze kutoka katika hizo perception. Thank you. You are mute.
Okay, Clara, that was super cool explanation. I really loved your approach, how you program for engaging the parents of transgender persons in your country. That is very, very, it's touching, and I really love that. Now, Ruby, look at the new technology. We felt the new technology would bring life, and all that, but now see, it's another challenge together. Guys are facing a lot, extortions, blackmail. We have even moved to TikTok, creating content on videos, but then what do we get? The comments of "we've lost another man," and that's such kind of negative comments coming across. Do you really think the new technology has really helped positively in realizing gender identity as a trans woman?
Thank you so much, Amos. I hope I'm loud and clear. Everyone can hear me. Am I loud? Am I audible?
Yes, you're very audible.
Okay, thank you so much for this question. First and foremost, I'd say that Rome was not built in a day. What I'm trying to say here is that whenever visibility is vibrant, people learn and see new things each and every time we grow more strong on visibility. My perception of how technology has constructed vibrant visibility in our community is that technology has helped us connect. We have become a global world. I can reach out to November within an instant of a minute. I can refer my community to services in South Africa within a nick of time. So technology has constructed stronger and more vibrant referral points, AMA centers. And we have introduced, learned about the presence of other transgender existing organization through our social sites, through our digital platforms, through the media. That shows that technology is really key in trans visibility and trans acknowledgement systems. Though we face backlashes while trying to air out our needs, grievances, and grievances, and all oppressing issues that we need to be aired out, I don't think I call it backlash. I call it positive and negative criticism, because for you to grow, people must criticize you. And I don't call it criticism, I call it growth. Otherwise, how will I learn to spot allies? How will I learn to map? How will I learn to benchmark if no one is criticizing me? I should learn to benchmark. I should learn to spot allies. These people are found through comments, feedback, and sometimes when there's positive feedback, oh, you're doing good, oh, you're doing good, it means people are reluctant. It means people are not microscopically looking at you and your work. So if my work is digested and my work is microscopically looked into, it means they'll identify loopholes, and it means that I'll go back to the drawing board and see what I need to do, who I need to bring forth, who I need to leave behind, and who I need to tag along with. So for me, technology is a vital tool in trans visibility, and technology has opened a lot of leeways and a lot of ways to trans growth in Kenya and trans visibility. That's all, Linus.
That's brilliant, and I'll also love to add that I think it has really helped us to connecting to the support systems. For instance, there are guys who are in the urban centers, there are people who are in the peri-urban, there are guys who are in the rural setup, and these people, their contexts are different. Maybe there are people who are able to access the radio shows, there are people who are able to access. I see there's a lot of stories coming in our TV shows and all that, and I think these are very, very. It has really helped the transgender community, a transgender person, to realize themselves, to affirm themselves, to love themselves, to accept who they are, and all that. Because when you're able to see other people, very happy about whom they are, and also whatever they are going through, you feel like you're not the only person who's undergoing the same challenge or so. But then we have guys who have thrived out of such particular challenges. But then, do we really think we have free will in Africa? the free will to, decide what to do, the spaces to be into, the political spaces, the election spaces, the research spaces. What do you really think in the African context as a transgender person? For instance, uh, uh, we have been having people being shortlisted to partake to research and to analyze, uh, incidences of political engagement. We have had guys being involved in election process. We've even had people, vying and, for these national posts. But then, do we see trans people coming boldly and vying for these? So, Gita, what do you really think in fighting transphobia? But then, before I get into that, we have influence from the developed nations, though others could be direct, others could be indirect. But then the question is, in fighting for transphobia in Africa, how can we rate, this new colonialism, the indirect influence from the developed world? Is it beneficial or more destructive in terms of constructing gender norms? And marry it with the free will, the democracy in Africa. How do you really think at the context of, the free will and also the influence from the developed country in organizing, in gender farming, the whole concept of transgenderism? Gita, please.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
trans,
So,
trans, oh, is it me speaking? I've got an echo on my side.
I've got an echo on my side.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Okay. So transphobia it's a problem in Africa. It's a total problem. But if we look at colonialism and what it has done to Africa, colonialism has killed our Africa continent from colonial masters that came and just grabbed whatever they wanted within Africa. But now when we become independent, and then the colonial ways of doing the things is just by creating a new colonial system, colonialism. So I would say, in my personal opinion, if you say a country is independent, then don't try to control the influence of when it comes to politics and treasury, and also um, how the country can defend itself. But then what they do is, and currently, and what everyone, I believe, that found out in Africa, is that we were the continent that was the hardest hit with the HIV pandemic, and now they come in through AIDS and they say that no, we will help your country with A, B, C, and D, but they set their own rules and regulations and indicators to how what they want. So they don't extract our natural resources in many other states anymore, but yet they extract other vital information from us. But yet we can't then provide it to our own people. So in a matter, I also it brings barriers in when it comes to the LGBTI people and having these post-colonial or this colonialism, the effect of that on our people. It has a negative as well as a positive effect when it comes to a country such as South Africa, who's already been freeing the people to say that everyone is protected under the law and the constitution. But then under that section, we still have to fight to get what it is rightfully ours, because the colonial master still has the last say in certain policies and in certain ways on how money is getting. Remember, the moment the government has to say that they acknowledge the LGBTI transgender community in the country, under the constitution. They have to look after you. You have to. Then the government is obligated to look after you. But whilst they are not obligated to look after you, they will still pursue the form of colonialism, because remember, they have power and they want to keep it. So that's my 5 cents on that. Is everyone there? Hello?
Hello.
Okay, yeah.
I think the internet is a problem.
Yeah. But did you get what I was saying? Did you get anything from what I was saying on colonialism?
Yes, Gita, that was an awesome insight. Because we're looking at shifting priorities. We're also looking at just how the queer organizing to a large extent is also influenced by
Yeah.
this neocolonialism, and of course we have a role to play as the African trans organizing movement, and those are amazing insights.
Yeah.
Just to probe a little bit deeper, how because we know South Africa celebrates a certain level of democracy,
Yes.
compared to other African states. How has the journey looked like in terms of political influence, and also just in terms of policies and frameworks that exist, that then also try to either validate trans bodies, or to a larger extent also just kind of shape themselves as anti-gender movements that compromise our existence. Over to you, Gita.
Yeah. So firstly, before I say anything, I would like to acknowledge the partner organizations which I'm working with, and today I would like to send a shout out to my sister. She is Liberty Matesa, and she's also the executive director at Gender Dynamics here in Cape Town. And with the administration and a team, and what the organization has been done, they've been doing groundbreaking work in South Africa with partnering organizations such as Triangle Projects, um, Iranti, Digail, and there's a lot of other organizations. But the democracy in South Africa is very, you know, I love South Africa so much. I love my country. I love my people. I even I have a very soft spot for my president. I've got the utmost respect for him, and I love him dearly. But then the overall organization of our governance when it comes to democracy, it is, sorry for my words, sometimes it can be a shit show, and then sometimes it can be very comical, and sometimes that South Africans, we have always something to say. We always have something to say about something else. And but the democracy, when it comes to trans visibility, we push as far as we can. We insert ourselves. So the moment we got our freedom, we ran with it. We make sure we insert ourselves in in every platform. Like I've myself, from the sex work movement, I've inserted myself within the within the trans movement now, where I specifically focus on gender affirming healthcare within the Western Cape. I believe that the Western Cape has one of the Cape Town is one of the best healthcare systems in South Africa. I can't speak on other countries, but they've been so inclusive when it comes to gender affirming healthcare. We have a hospital that provides that to our trans community, but also we have opened 4 clinics in South Africa, transgender clinics, specifically looking at the health needs of transgender people. We're lucky to have one of those clinics in Cape Town. So we have a hospital that has a department that specifically gives endocrine services to our people, and then we have the clinic on a more local level where people can access that. So we work together. So Transtech SA specifically look at ways on how to make sure that we can get them that services within our government sector. So when it comes to the democracy, what we do is we look at what the constitution say, we look at what the policies say, and then if that doesn't form, then we start with working groups and committees, and we do, because our within our government you have a petition. You can petition parliament to look at a specific legislation at this lesson, but we've been saying this agency. But the problem when it comes to our democracy through the petition process is it takes quite long. It can take very long. It can take years for our parliament or our government even to look at a piece of legislation or to look at a piece of a bill that has been drafted. You understand? But we have come very far. We have come far, and we it's hard work and it's blood and
Yeah.
tears, but for every step that what we take on, we conquer. So but it is all about intersectionality, and it's all about understanding whose role, what is your specific role within this fight. Because currently, and then we spoke earlier about founding members and directors. But when it comes to our democracy is beautiful, and it's supposed to be not, there's not supposed to be any flaws, but yet we know how within every household there is some problems. But when it comes to our organizational part, the civil movement, I feel that personally as a young um, organization, but also but as a veteran in the movement, activist work, I feel that it is about once organizations has come to the level of they are sitting now at the table having discussions with government, suddenly work on the ground has been shifted. So now you
Yeah.
as a small organization have to run around getting everyone together, making sure everyone gets the needs what they want, and then there becomes a classism of South African is going into our civil movement is going into that era of you show now what you have. You are it's all about showing what you've done all these years and what you've received for that. And
Okay.
my thing is,
Okay.
but we're looking at our other African countries and our other
Yeah.
sisters and brothers. They need our help. We need to pour
Sure.
some democracy over to our African brothers and sisters on that side. So we can't just alone. I feel that democracy, if South Africa can experience democracy on that level, everyone else on the Africa continent who is
Mhm.
linked to us needs to experience that, and they need to have that same safety. You understand?
Yeah, we are hopeful that some of our African states, just like let's say Kenya, will one day get to where South Africa is. Perhaps just to take it
You
back to Enos.
Okay, thank you so much, Gita, for that broad explanation. I really love it, and I'm also learning from you people. I'm grateful as well. Um, we just want to move a bit faster because we're seeing the time is also catching out. Um, to Uganda, Otita, would you tell us the situation? Um, there was this hash bill that came across into the parliament, and we saw how the citizen reacted towards the same bill. Uh, how can you rate the level of democracy in your country for the trans people?
Hey,
Yes, proceed.
oh my God, you're actually breaking, so I've not even heard everything that you've said. Sorry.
Okay, I'm saying, yeah,
Yeah.
are you able to get from this side?
Yes, yes, I can
Audible?
now hear you. Yeah. I
Okay,
cannot.
thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah.
Okay. Last year there was a lot of, the issue of the bill that was thrown into into the, to, the bill um, that was in the house for
Yes.
discussion, and for adoption and all that. And we saw how people reacted towards that bill. So how would you marry the two? How is the level of democracy in terms of policy engagement with the people of your country, and also marry it with the transgender line of identity and organizing? Hello?
Ni kama kuna shida ya mtandao.
Aha. Otita is lost. Is he on call? Hello?
Apparently, Otita is has dropped. So if you could move to Clara, thank you.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, hello, Clara.
Yes, dear.
I was very, very much interested that you've started conversations uh, with the parents of the trans people,
Hello.
Um, yes. Are you able to hear me?
Sorry. Like, I don't know. I just jumped off. Can I continue, please?
Oh, okay. You can continue.
All right. So the bill has a name. It is called the Sex Offences Bill. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the SOB, we call it the SOB, was it was enacted on 3rd May 2021, first of all, by the Ugandan Parliament. The controversial bill consolidated a number of previous laws regarding sexual offences. It introduces some provisions towards addressing sexual violence and immensely, criminalizing same-sex relationships. So that was like a big blow to the queer community in Uganda. Like, it came the time we're in total lockdown, and that was so terrifying for us as queer folks. And you know, uh, we were already having mental health issues because of the pandemic, and then these guys just put it out there that and criminalize us. It came from okay, national television. We used to, of course, we were totally locked down, and then we just used to watch news, and until we saw that, you know what? Oh, okay, looks like we're really going to be, we're going to stay in the houses forever, because you can't walk out there. And as trans people, like, that was really crazy for us. So yeah, they passed the bill and then took it to president. Of course, the president trashed the bill on 3rd August. That was in the same year, 2021. He rejected the bill and returned it to Parliament. He stated that it actually covered offences already provided in the Penal Code Act. So he said, "This is the same thing that you're giving me. Like, no, I already signed something some time back." So that is how we survived some. But the bill is still in Parliament as we speak. But then, currently, queer activists are doing all it takes to see that the bill is not passed into law anyway, because they threaten us, and the parliamentarians said, even if the president doesn't sign, we can still pass it. So and our allies having a higher percentage so far, more than in 2014 when they passed the other anti-homosexual act. So this time the allies really came strong and they were supporting us. And we still hold conversations with allies and really trying to see that the bill is not passed because it's still in parliament. It has not yet been like thrown away. they still have it, and that is very terrifying for us. Like, it criminalizes us to like core, and we are scared, and that is one more thing that is actually even hindering us from doing our work sometimes. There's things you cannot really do for the community because the bill is out there, and the society in Uganda they know that the bill is there, and once they even just uh, talk about it, just talking about it, like it brings about a lot of violations back here in communities where transgender people live, and mostly it's transgender people who are actually even persecuted, you know. And people here don't beat in Uganda. Ugandans don't, these homophobes, transphobes, they don't beat you to leave, they beat you to death. That is here, you know. And they're blaming us for the pandemic. Of course, they say God is punishing the world because of you LGBT people. You queer people brought COVID, so we will erase you so that God can have mercy on us. Imagine, you know, now they attacked us in every corner. Culturally, they say we are destroying the African culture, and that is crazy because just recently we had readings about same-sex relationships in the African settings and all that, and it actually shows that homosexuality or whatever was in Africa, like long, like hundreds of years ago. It was there in so many tribes, you know. So far, we're really struggling with it. But again, we're here just waiting, and of course they're silent about it so far. Nobody's talking about the bill, but of course our eyes are like wide open, and we're on the watch. Like, it's a crazy bill. If it is passed, it is really going to be very bad. Like, people are going, actually queer activists, even queer people are going to start asking for asylum because it's really a very bad bill for us. Like, it's not coming cool. It's coming really hard this time, and yeah, that is the situation so far. But the allies are there. They're better than they were before. Yeah, they're really trying to support the movement, the queer movement. Yeah.
Yeah, well, it goes without mention that we can never underestimate the potential of our allies, those true allies, because allies at times also turn out to be our greatest enemies. Um, in Kenya, of course, we are also battling with the penal code, the Kenyan penal code, which is currently at the Court of Appeal. But we are hopeful. We're hopeful that it turns out well. Before I take it back to Enos, I just want to dive a bit into our social media participants, just to check through the different questions that have been posted by our participants. Perhaps to start with a question from who? Owino Pesh says, Jesus, I'm loving this discussion. Our moderator, you're doing a great job, honey. And our panelists keep the fire burning. Oh, yeah, of course, it's mocking. And there was a question here. There was another question. Let me just scroll. Um, uh, Yes, there's a question by Oko Juma. I have never seen, is it a question per se? I've never seen a trans person who is in politics. Ama wako na sijui. Um, just to ask us a question, because just to bring it to the Kenyan context, we are in our electioneering period, and and I don't know, is this like is our sexuality pegged to politics? Perhaps, Gita, give us a scenario of South Africa, then I could take it back to Ernest.
Yeah, just say again. I'm in there. So the question is, are we visible in politics? Yes, we are.
Yeah.
So what was your actual question? Just ask me. Is it for being visible in politics, or what was the? Is there another
are we are
question
we
that you?
are we actually in politics? Are we there? Are we in leadership positions within the political framework? Because we do understand that elections are also just enablers of violence against the LGBT community. So how does it look like in the South African context?
Yeah, within the South African context, I must say that we are we are part and parcel of democracy, but I don't think that we have a part. We have come to the point where we actually wanna run for office as a queer party. Do you understand? I so wish that maybe Triangle would one day say, "Yeah, let's do this," because I myself is into politics. I like to see myself as the critique. So I critique politics. So I come into spaces and I critique because but it's come from. So I'm more into the local government level. So we have fears of government in South Africa. So you get your local government, your provincial government, your national government. So I make sure that we insert ourselves in all of these spheres of government, but also we our voices comes through strong when we do, but it's all about how we organize ourselves. So, but we have ward councillors who's got so just last month I was part of a political caucus group in the Kailicha township area here in Cape Town, our biggest township in Cape Town, where we had we were about 13 politicians from the Western Cape and other parts of the country that has already been selected to office, who runs their office and who's queer, and we had the caucus to speak on how they have the power now to change specific laws on a local level to ensure that police brutality, that they don't arrest people based on their gender and the sexual orientation. So in the South African context, we are very busy. We are if we need to riot, we will do that. So yeah, so we are actively. I just wish we were more. We would more stand up and we would more go to office, because if we our voices are there, but we just need to take firm action into a political stance. Like for instance, South Africa has just started their process of counting the people in South Africa, and they excluded us. So they were like, we're only going to ask if you're male or female. That's the only boxes. And then the day when the people came, I was like, but I'm sorry, our household won't be counted, because if I can't be counted, the other people in this house won't be counted. So we're not going to get counted unless, because if you don't count me, then you tell me in my face that I'm not going to provide services for you. I'm not going to count you in the budget of the country and to provide for you. So democracy and taking up office is quite important, because it depends on which side you want to penetrate certain democracy. You need to penetrate the democracy from each or other spheres of the government, making sure that you make sure your voice is heard, because I make very much noise when it comes to the rights of trans people, specifically in the Western Cape. I make sure that everyone else is infectious towards being liberated on wanting services. Like I feel the day when they said we out criminalized anymore, that was the day when I decided to enjoy the full right of the Constitution. By all costs, I will go out and make sure that we are all equal in front of the law. The nice thing in also is that, so we're doing our so we also have an amendment of 49, the Act 49 in South Africa. So we also can change our sex descriptors, but we are also fighting now with our Home Affairs Department to say we changed everything. We gave you the documentation to change our gender on our ID and our names, but now you take 4 or 5 years to give our actual documentation. You take 7 months to give it to me. My life can't stand still. I need to move forward in order, because discrimination and stigma is still big. And then you ask, where's democracy then in this sense? Because our leaders has not been properly sensitized on these issues, because we sit with a democracy that is still clinged, and we still hurt about what happened in South Africa during the apartheid era. So we still hurt. I'm still hurt, and I'm still cross with some elements that really still our country still allows for it to happen. So democracy is here, but it depends on how you take democracy into your hands and make sure that you run with it without hurting other people in the process. Because for me, on running on an activist scale and making sure I access this, I am being part of this democracy model. I don't out any of my trans brothers and sisters. I don't ostracize anyone. No one is left behind. So I can't move forward unless everyone else moves forward, you know? So I will always go back to say, come, let's go, because we need to move forward. I will move 2 steps back in order to move us 20 steps forward, you know? So that's my take on democracy.
I think that's super, that's great. But then in Kenyan context, we have trans people who are very vocal and very vibrant, very courageous, and they get into these policy spaces and they contribute a lot and they challenge a lot. But remember, now looking at the legal framework of the country, that's what I really think it's taking us a bit back in terms of, you know, vying for these national positions during the election. Because remember, we can change the names on our legal document, but then do the gender mark, it's very important because I changed the name. So what next? I have the idea of the change name, but then the gender mark. So it's still a problem because you will be vying as who, as a woman or as a man. Such kind of
Yeah.
questions will have to come up because your gender mark, is still a problem. Though you have transition and you have the name change and all that, but remember the legal the gender mark is still a backstopper. It stops you from, So I think most of our country people have that fear of, yes, I'm a politician and this is who I am and what I want to do. But then, uh, what is the worst that can happen if, and how will, people take, or how is the government taking across all this? I think that is the main challenge we are facing, and that's why you may not see it very visible in the politics area, but we have our people in these policy spaces, and they're very vocal and they challenge ideas, and which is very good, and that's why we are having, progress in legal issues, in legal documentations and all that. So I think that is why for our country and the broader Africa, that's why we are missing on the lane. We are missing visible, we are not visible in the political lines. I think if there is another question we are leaving out of, when you would let us know, because I'm not able to, get to the rest of it.
Okay. Okay, allow
I
me.
think if there is another question we are leaving out of, when you would let us know,
Okay,
because I'm not
just
able to, get to the rest of it.
uh,
There's another
Looks like
question we
there's
are leaving out
yeah.
when you would let us know,
okay,
because I'm not
just
able to, get to the
allow me just go to the English.
Okay, I think we can proceed. Um, I was talking to Clara. Our family is the first support system, and we can't move minus our family. We can't move minus our parents. We can't move minus, our siblings. They're our support system, even the community at large. We really need these people to journey throughout, you know, our journey of transitioning, our journey of identity, you know. So I was very happy to hear that you have started such kind of programs, engaging with the parents, the ones that are willing to know, and also you are connecting with your transgender people to connect you with their family members, so that you may introduce this concept to them, so that they understand what does it really mean to, sexual orientation, gender identity, expression, characteristics, and all those concepts of soji. So they understand what does it really mean to that now you have started such kind of programs. How is the reception what are the challenges you're facing as a trans woman, and also as a fellow trans people, you know, as an organization? And do you think there is free will to engage in such kind of forums from the community at large? Clara. Stephen, confirm if Clara is around.
So Clara's dropped, but I know she's coming back. But also, as we wait for Clara to come back, we can also touch a bit of the conversations on the Facebook chat, because I'm seeing there's a couple of questions this side. So if you'll allow me, I could proceed to read a couple, and then we proceed, if that's in order with you. Okay. So just to check through, we have quite a number. Thank you so much, Mauricio, for coming through. I can see you've talked about having quite a number of trans persons who are coming in to vie. That's an awesome one. I mean, queer persons coming in to vie in the forthcoming elections in Kenya. Awesome. Okay, there are quite a number. Okay, so Agregana Otunga says, since there isn't much representation for the trans, or rather the LGBTQIA community in government and in the communities, does it mean that the community should conform to the idea of progressive change? Ama, what are some changes that we can make that can be made to make the marathon shorter? So the question is about representation in government, and of course that's something that we did touch about slightly. So perhaps just to inquire from Ruby. Ruby, are you present? Ruby?
Yes, I'm present. Yes.
Yeah, so perhaps just to inquire from you in terms of our representation in government. Do we need to do more? Is it enough, or do we need to do more? Over to you.
I think before moving to government positions and spaces, I think we need first to check, is the mental health condition of our community and physical conditions appropriate, and are the essential services for the TG community well accessible? We have a bigger picture here, whereby we see that programs that are meant to implement trans awareness, trans advocacy, and trans health are first underfunded. Second, trans spaces are very minimal. So when we have accomplished all these vital human basic rights, then I think now the notion of having a trans representative in our government system may come in. But to say so, that's not a bad idea. If we push someone to push our agendas, they may delay, they may put them aside, they may consider them as non-issues, like quoting or rephrasing our president when he said that LGBTI issues in Kenya are non-issues. You remember that?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So having a trans representative in political spaces is key. and very vital, because here we will have one of our own speaking on behalf of us. I'm speaking through one voice, expressing our needs has their own needs, because nothing for us without us.
Yeah.
And no one should speak on our behalf, because no one knows how the shoe fits except the wearer of the shoe.
True.
So how best to have trans representation in every spaces, not only political spaces,
Yeah, and
both
just
mainstream spaces.
and just Ruby, on the same point, just to peg it to another question that has been asked by Univa.
Yes. Yes.
When doing job applications, how safe are we as trans
Yes.
women when we add our gender markers into our CV, into our curriculum vita? Like when you present your CV for a job application, how
Yes.
safe
Yes.
are you as a trans woman in terms of including your gender marker to the application?
Yes. Yes. How safe am I?
Yes. Like
First and
how
foremost,
safe
I think
a trans woman?
First and foremost, I think these are areas that needs very much sensitization on, because people perceive trans person as a person who hasn't yet decided on whether they want to be a male or female. We are perceived as people with mental disorders. So when I say that when I write on my application form that I identify as a trans woman, automatically it exposes me to first being denied of opportunities.
Yeah.
Being denied of opportunities puts me at higher risk of insecurity and threatens my well-being, because they will expose me. They will expose me against my will. So you see, security around trans representation is very, very low.
I really agree with
And
you.
the minute I identify as a trans person in a particular application form, then that renders me unqualified for the job.
And I also think to add on something, I think there's a lot we should do, and we need a lot of representation in the parliament, because this will help us to influence these policies that are being discussed in the for validation, for all that. Remember, in the whole country, I think we only have is it one or two psychiatrists who are trans individuals who are psychiatrists. And you see, if for instance these people would be asked, do you see, because the whole country has around 80 to 90 psychiatrists, these people may be called and asked, do you see these trans people? Do they come to you people? And remember, if these psychiatrists are not sensitized, they are not given the information regarding, and also our trans people are not aware of their existing from the lower, community, or the referral the referral hospitals that we are living across, we are living near, it will be very, very hard. So I think they should be allowed, they should be a representative, maybe a secretariat at the county government, just to, help push agendas of trans people, and also at the county government, which is uh, very, very important. So for me, I really feel we should have more people representing, if not the larger community, but the trans people, so that we have our policies, we have our needs reflected um, at uh, the legal papers and all that.
Thank you for
We
that
can proceed.
elaborate.
Thank you for that elaborate.
Did you get me, Enos? I think you could take it over, and then we'll interject again with some few questions from the audience.
Yeah. Sorry, what did you say, Stephen?
I said you can take it, or you can just take it.
I said you can check it, or you can just check it.
Okay. All right. Thank you so
Hello.
much. Yes. I think we were talking about engaging the community and all that with Clara, right? Clara, are you there now?
So
Clara, are you there, please?
So
I wanted to make a remark
I
on
wanted to make a remark
on the beat of
on
democracy,
the beat of
transgenderism,
democracy
and
transgenderism.
yes. First of all, personally, yeah, I'm a growing leader, but mostly I have a bit of bias when it comes to democracy. It doesn't just have to be like just political and all that. It shouldn't just be affiliated to political aspects. So as a transgender person, yeah, I have passion for this community, by the way, beyond just where I am here. So I feel like, some of our leaders really, for example, like put out interventions for transgender people even without consulting them and getting to know their needs. I feel like that is a bit, that's supposed to be part of democracy as a transgender community. Like, you just can't give people what they don't need. So yeah, I feel like at community level also, I believe trans people should be given chance to speak and be heard as a community, so that they can speak out their needs, their pains, recommendations, and make suggestions. And that is what democracy is to me. Hey, cannot give them what they don't want. It's like giving a transgender man who is not like, or a transgender person who doesn't want hormones, like you buy them hormones, like, really. And it may be then the real urgent need is shelter and food, and. So I feel like also as a trans movement, I've seen those loopholes here, and I'm like, okay, really? You just can't draft a proposal to a donor and then it's funded, and you're doing things that people don't want. Like, I feel like democracy should be that our trans leaders from respective trans-led organizations should just really consider dialoguing with trans men and doing needs assessments, so that we can do informed and meaningful interventions for the community. And that is community growth. Like, the community grows on its own. You can't just give them growth. They are the ones that to tell you what they need to grow as a community. And transgender people actually have very dynamic and diverse needs. Like, you know, that is my argument on democracy. Just begins with us, not even a political bit of it. Just like they say, charity begins at home. Like, we are a family. Like, we are trans movement. We are a family. Like, we need to listen to each other and not just do things for people, things that they don't need, like things that are not vital, things that they don't want, things that satisfy you, not them. You know? Yeah, that is my argument.
Okay. Okay, thank you for that. Is Clara in the call?
Yes, unaweza repeat swali? Maana kuna shida sisikii.
I can repeat, my dear. I can repeat. Wanisikiza?
Ukiongea tu sauti inapotea, nasikia makelele. Na mimi sauti yangu inakuwa inajirudia.
Aya, sasa unanisikia vizuri?
Yes.
Aya, nasema hivi, mmekuwa na hii program ya kuleta wazazi wa trans people pamoja, kuambia hizi issues zetu, you know, issues of sexual orientation, gender identity. How is the reception, and what are the main challenges you are facing as organizers, you know, as the community? And also, in marrying to that, we have great feminists in Africa, and some of them does not concur with the context that a trans woman is a woman, and they are feeling like a trans woman is a man who wants to enjoy the both privileges of being, you know, being born a man, and again now you want to be a woman. So they are usually not into terms with. So if you could just marry the reception and the challenges of your programming with parents, and also how do you feel as as transgender women contributed to fighting of the women oppressive laws in Africa? To you, Clara.
Asante. Tafadhali tunaweza tukanyute, maana sauti inajirudia na kuna makelele. So kwa upande wa jinsi gani kama nilivyosema mara kwanza, tunapokuwa engagement kwa ajili ya kutengeneza kuwa na project za family, la kwanza ni kuangalia jinsi gani tunaweza tukatengeneza relationship between the trans community pamoja na family members ambao wanatuzunguka kila siku. Na hii tuliona gap kubwa sana, kwa sababu asilimia kubwa ukishajulikana kama ni among of the trans ama ni LGBT community, tayari direct family inaanza kukutenga, na hii affected yake kwanza ni kupata violence tayari kwenye community. Kama familia yako tayari imeshakutenga, direct hata community pia vile vile inaweza kaanza kukutenga. Kwa hiyo unaanza kukumbana na violence ya kwenye jamii, lakini pia harassment ya kwenye public sehemu mbalimbali, kwa sababu pia tayari unapoona mtu ambaye anaweza kukusemea kama family. Kwa hiyo tunajitahidi kuangalia jinsi gani kwamba tunaweza tukatengeneza relationship between the trans community au LGBT community kuwa among of the party of the family ya familia, kwamba pia familia iwe among of the duty ya kuhakikisha pia wanakuwa kwenye masuala safety and security, lakini pia unaweza kupata platform mbalimbali za kuweza kujoin bila kujali sexual orientation and gender identity yako. So hiyo ndio kitu kikubwa ambacho nataka kuweza kufanya, lakini my recommendation kwa all trans community or LGBT community, sasa hivi tuweze kuwa focus na kuangalia jinsi gani kwamba tunaweza kuwa engage, ukiachana tuna masuala ya HIV issues, tunaweza vipi kuwa engage kuanzia kwenye families member, kwenye religious leaders, lakini pia vile vile kwenye watu wa culture pia. Hizi culture zimeweza kuwa zinatusababisha hata LGBT community au trans community kuwa na masuala ya mental health, kwa sababu kila siku tunaongea culture. Kuna culture gani? Kwa sababu kila nchi ama tukisema kwamba ina culture, kwa mfano watu wengi wanasema labda tuseme labda Kenya ama tuseme Tanzania, itaweza kusema unajua hii sio culture yetu ya Afrika, ama sio culture yetu ya Tanzania, ama sio culture yetu ya Kenya. Siamini kama kila nchi ina culture, kwa sababu wewe una culture yako, mimi na culture yangu. Ukiniambia kwamba culture zetu ndo hizi, by automatic inanichanganya, kwa sababu kila nchi, hakuna nchi ambayo ilosema kwamba hii ndo culture yetu, kwamba mwanamume anatoka kufanya kazi, mwanamke anatoka kufanya kazi, mwanamume anatoka kudress hivi, mwanamke anatoka kudress hivi. Hiyo hakuna hicho kitu. Kwa kila mmoja na culture yake ya kujiongoza katika akili yake ama maisha yake ya kila siku, kwa sababu kila mmoja na role zake za maisha, jinsi gani kuweza kuendesha maisha yake ya kila siku. So mimi nacho recommend sasa hivi kama as a organization ama movement, tuangalie nje ya masuala ya HIV, kuhakikisha watu tunaweza kuweka vizuri, especially kwenye masuala ya mental health issues, lakini pia vile vile kuweza kuwapa watu space ya kuweza kujoin katika platform mbalimbali, kwa mfano kwenye mambo ya kisiasa. Pia hii ni among of the platform as a LGBT community tunaweza tukajiengage na kuangalia jinsi gani tunaweza tukatetea haki zetu, lakini pia watu ambao wameweza kupata zile platform za kuwa among of the katika hizo platform za kisiasa. Hiyo ni sehemu kubwa sasa kuweza kwenda kufanya advocacy, kuangalia jinsi gani LGBT the trans community wameweza kuwa engage na wanaweza kusikika kwa pamoja. So naona hicho ni kitu cha muhimu sana. Asante.
Let me go back to Otito. Just in a short, Otito, are you on call? Is Otito on call?
Yes, sure. Yes, sure.
Thank you so much. I just wanted you to talk about. You mentioned how the transgender organizing started, and we had a convening in South Africa, in Cape Town in 2008. I really think these are very, very important activities that have really spearheaded, that have moved, that has helped to move transgender topics, agendas forward. I would really love to hear more about what are some of the high moments in Africa that as for transgender women that has really helped to fight these oppressive laws that we are fighting across.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
So I could just give an example, like in Uganda, yeah. I think most of us know Cleopatra Kambugu, the trans activist, the trans woman. She's a Ugandan, yes, she's a Ugandan, but she's a trans activist. So Cleo last year obtained a national ID, like with her names, with the gender marker F, and that was like something that blew us off. Like it happened last year on 10th October. So with all these laws and policies that have been put out there to deprive us of just these tiny things that we want to obtain, and at least like this gender affirming, or I can say life affirming documents that we need, these legal documents that we need. Like she managed to obtain her national ID. She's the very first transgender person to obtain a national ID in Uganda. So I think that was really a trailblazer, and it was awesome because she managed to move beyond these oppressive systems and policies, because Uganda is a crazy country. They think that transgender people actually want to be what they're not. And they're mentally like not okay. They have mental disorders. So most of the time they take us to they take us to those for it's called, I don't know, corrective therapies, those therapies. So I think that was really a big win for the whole transgender movement, like, as a whole. And then I'm also and then I've also seen that we all know that in 2014, was it 2014? Yes, when the Kenyan, very own Kenyan Audrey Mbugua, a Kenyan trans activist, attained her court victory, and the Kenya's High Court actually ordered the country's education authorities to amend the name on her school certificate. Like, yes, because she's a woman who was born male, and that is what the court said, and that was a huge win for the African trans community. Still, like, those are the highs. Like, trans women, like transgender people really have maneuvered. We've navigated, we've managed to find ways of beating these oppressive laws in everywhere. And then in Botswana also, there's a transgender man. I think that was anonymous. Yes, he didn't want his name to be mentioned. A transgender man who won a 10-year battle to be legally recognized as a male. So in a landmark ruling that could boost minority rights in such a very conservative nation, we all know how Botswana is. So whereby, like, Justice Godfrey Tomiwa, who was taking on the ruling, said his judgment that, in his judgment, he said that the government had violated the plaintiff's rights to dignity, privacy, freedom of expression, equality, and freedom from discrimination and human and degrading treatment. So, like, these are things that actually put on us, like, it is a common thing in Africa, in the African nations. Like, Africans have African transgender people have really tried to really do this. I think that conference really did brought in a lot of change, and taking the advocacy for transgender people to another level, and that was so brilliant. And I feel like we should really keep doing these things. We can have convenings, and we keep on, because our needs are dynamic. We grow every day, and our needs change every other time we're growing. And we have young trans people, we have old trans people. So yeah, I think we really need to uh, hold these convenings as a continent, so that we can beat this. Yeah, I know Kenya is much better than Uganda in a way. Yes, Uganda is more conservative. I know. Yes, but at least Kenyans are somewhere in another level. So yeah, it's an awesome thing. We can copy from each other. We can teach each other how to go through this, how to fight these laws, how to beat these policies that are against us. So yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Enos,
Hello.
Yes.
can you allow me? It's 10 minutes past the hour, and I think it will be in order for us to wind it up. Allow me to a couple of comments from our Facebook audience. Uh, let's start by a very amazing poem by Emily K. Milan. Awesome. I've read that poem. It's awesome. It's interesting. And and of course we give respect to that. It's there are some of the expressive ways through which we can do advocacy. That poem is awesome. You can check it on the Facebook Forum Sieve Facebook page. It's there. It's an awesome poem. And also, just to read a couple of comments here by our amazing, thank you so much, Kipturu Tala, hashtag Translove. We respect that question. Kipturu, you've just asked a question, but it's a question we can think through even as we end the call. Does transgender umbrella gender non-conforming, multiple gender, non-binary, and transsexuals? It's a question we can think through um, uh, for our next sessions. We also have a comment here by Aikos Mudis. Policy reforms are absolutely necessary. We need to come to a point in life where we ensure there's inclusivity for all. Thank you. It's work in progress, and we shall win this. Phil, Univa here. I am a descendant of a family of heterosexual folks. My straight friends tease me because all my best friends are my ex-loves. But a wise heart told me is the most tender part of queerness. That was also a poem. Whoa, it was an amazing one. Thank you so much, Univa, for that amazing poem. We also have a comment here. Yes, by one and only Paul John Mangweto. This fight needs to carry on because for the time where transgender will be a normal conversation is coming, but not yet there. So march on, because the struggle ain't over yet. Viva, we keep the fire burning, we keep the conversation going. We shall for sure win this. Thank you so much to our lovely audience for that amazing input. Thank you so much to the panelists. Thank you so much, Gita November, all the way from South Africa. Thank you so much, Otita, all the way from Uganda. Thank you so much, Miss Clara, all the way from Tanzania. Thank you to our amazing panelist, Ruby from Pwani Trans Initiative. And of course, thank you so much to our lovely, fabulous moderator, Enos of Trans Alliance Kenya. We could not have done this without you. And thank you for those amazing contributions. We want to end by thanking our enabling partner, Forum Civ of Eastern and Southern Africa, for being an enabler for this conversation to take place. Thank you so much. And of course, to the amazing team at Atlanta Africa, who put this conversation together. We respect you. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. Till we meet again, we say thank you. Na tuonane. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Good things. Goodbye.
Bye.